It's sort of like with the moment with Modern Warfare 3. There was this one scene that really bothered me, and it was a scene where this family was in London, I believe it was, and somebody was like pulling a van up there, and then they ran into the van, and the family doesn't think anything of it, and then all of a sudden there's a big gas explosion, and
Mm,
everybody collapses dead. I
right.
mean, something like that really hurt me because, like, you're hurting a kid there. I mean, I didn't remember seeing any kids in the airport or anything, but still, I mean, these moments that they know how to jar you and show you like how harrowing things can be when somebody tries to take something into their own hands.
I mean, do
Uh,
you feel like scenes like that? Because obviously we like touched upon like how like it seemed that this kind of became like a theme really for the Call of Duty games going forward, where they had to have that like one shocking scene basically that gets everyone talking.
mhm.
Do you feel like that that helps or hinders the franchise for the most part as far as getting people to talk about it? But maybe you feel like it might be going too far. I was kind of curious in your take with that.
When it naturally fits into the story, it's great. When you're going for that gotcha moment, then it's not. Like with the Modern Warfare games, those moments, the nuclear explosion, the no Russian scene, the family dying in Modern Warfare 3, those were moments that I think integrated in the storyline just to remind you how harrowing things were and how much these enemies pissed you off. But it's when these games go for gotcha moments just for the sake of going for gotcha moments. I don't really have any examples off the top of my head, but you know what I mean. When it fits into organically the story and pissing you off enough that, oh, I'm gonna finish this guy. This guy's had it. Zakiev's gonna
Right.
get his.
You feel like it kind of
It,
fits into like the narrative like better and like
yeah,
actually like gets you I guess like riled up really with, with what's going on like in like the setting, the world, the characters, all that stuff.
yeah.
So I guess like what I'm getting at though is do you feel like that the Call of Duty franchise does it well for the most part?
For the most part, I mean, there are moments in which things can get thrown off. And I think one of the things that bother me about Call of Duty Ghosts is how it ended. Usually with these games, you get some sort of resolve, or at the very least, some sense of hope that you did the right thing. But the way the story is told, it was a shock, sure, but people feel bummed out. It's like that's it. That's what I paid $60 for. I think with something like that, you there's definitely something where you can have a downside to it, but you also have the upside. You have to have the balance that reminds you that you went through all this effort and this is your reward. Now you can have a nice little shock ending at the end. I mean, obviously, like Dead Space didn't exactly end well for Isaac, but
Right, yeah.
by the same token, you want something that shows the journey was worthwhile, not everything that makes you feel gutted and empty and like, why the hell did I play this?
I mean, that's one thing, like with the Call of Duty franchise, like especially going from Modern Warfare onwards, because like a lot of people will focus on the multiplayer for the games, and that's certainly like the most popular, I guess, aspect of these games.
Right.
But the actual like campaign modes of these games also are done really, really well. We kind of like touched upon that as well, as far as like just like the writing and like the way scenes are written and like just like how characters are developed and all that stuff. Like with Soap McTavish, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
That guy is like a goddamn hero, like in every in every right, pretty much as far as like a video game character is concerned.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people like root for him, they want to see more of him and all that stuff. So that character in particular, I know has become like a real staple, not only in the Call of Duty franchise, but just like in the gaming like sphere, really, like overall. So, they like these games are done really well, just like from a single player standpoint. So that is like more of your bag as opposed to like going online and getting shot in the head over and over. Then I feel like that they're worthwhile in that respect too.
Yeah. And sometimes those emotional moments, they can really make you feel driven when you finally, at the very last minute, you take care of business. And I think Modern Warfare 2 had probably the most shocking moment of all, and that was the turn of Shepard when he killed Roach, when he killed
Shepherd.
yeah, friggin' Shepard. You bitched him out when he shot those soldiers and turned on everybody. He was like, "Mother, I'm gonna kick your ass." And that's one of the final moments in the game. You actually get to take him out with a wonderfully placed knife throw to his skull. So
Did Rex show up too?
yeah, right. But I mean, it's just a matter of you feel driven. And I think the best kind of Call of Duty game is a game that drives you. I mean, if it's with shock, if it's with anger, if it's with a feeling of victory, even if it's like with a plot twist that you don't see coming. Like with the Black Ops games, there's just these interesting twists that do a lot with the character. And Black Ops 2 had a great scene where you actually played as the villain for one stage, Raul Menendez, because you actually see what drives him to hate the US so much. It's a mission in which he's trying to save his sibling and he's running around the stage, Josefina, over and over again because he's just trying to save her. And when you don't, you actually get inside his head and you see what's so pissed up. But by the same token, then you see him perform his acts and you go back after him anyway.
See
So
that's what I was mentioning before about like having like really good storytelling, really good campaigns, really in these games. Because like if you can have like moments like that where it can actually pity the villain, and really kind
yeah,
of get to know like why the villain is doing what he's doing, and you can actually understand his motives, like for doing like whatever awful things he's doing and whatever story that you're talking about, then you really have something there, and like that's definitely a really good example of that, I feel.